Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Yes, we are on. Welcome to the Neighborish live cast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and with me, as always, are the people that make the Neighborish live cast Neighborish. Starting with our feminine energy, Miss Fruit Fit herself, Patrice Jones. How you doing, Patrice?
Hey, doing great. Had a great day. How are you?
I'm good. And the young lady with the velvety smooth voice, Miss Aisha Green. How you doing?
Hello, David.
There you go. Hello, David. My man, Just Mike. What's up, brother?
I'm looking at Joe Clair boogers right now. What's going on with his boogers?
And
I'm not trying to see his boogers.
And we got a great show for y'all today because our guest today, we had him scheduled last week. A couple of weeks ago during what I was calling Top 5 Month here on the Neighborish live cast. And the reason I called it that because all the guests were top 5 and they given respective genres. But the reason that I called it top 5 was really for everybody else that was coming on, because this dude is probably top 3 in everything he does except for radio shows, in which he's top 2 and he's not 2. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's a rapper, he's a producer, one of the funniest comedians to ever pick up the mic. And the #1 radio show in the DMV bears his name. Of course, I'm talking about Joe Clair. What's up, brother? How are you?
What's good? I was wondering who y'all was talking about. Like,
man,
what niggas they introduced? Well, do I gotta go up after that nigga? Because that nigga sounds incredible.
Hey, man, he does. Yeah, and that's not even everything you do, man. I'm so glad that you were able to come through and kick it with us, man. You do so much. Like I said, what I said in the intro isn't even everything that you do, but we're really excited and glad to have you here. So we're going to get into it. But at first, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, a few things going on in the city, in the country, in the world. And so you talked on your show, actually, I believe this morning about the comments that Kamala Harris made and how she agreed with, what's his name, Tim Scott?
Yeah, man. Well, it was... The first thing out of my mouth was, that was par for the course for a politician. Yeah. And a politician of her stature. She's the Vice President of the United States of America, former Attorney General for the state of California. That answer came straight out the textbook. Right. I used to be the Attorney General of the state of California. They got a textbook, and if you open that, John, it's right there. Do you think America's racist? No. America is not racist.
You can't say
there are racist things that we must deal with, but I do not think that, you know what I'm saying? It was like a textbook answer.
Right.
So it made sense, but it was disheartening to see because at this point in time in America, we, all Black people, are waiting for politicians to be as blunt as the force that works against us or the forces that work against us. I thought that after the 2020 uprising and what happened in the streets that we would start seeing politicians be a lot more less politicized than they answers and just keep it $1.50. Yeah. And that's what we wanted to see. But it's Kamala Harris. She's the Vice President of the United States. She ain't gonna say that. Right, a comment under my post said that a sister said, well, come on, man, if she'd have bit down on that joint, the GOP would have came back and used that as a sound bite 2 years later to make sure she don't never run for no other office ever again. Right. So, and if you Kamala Harris, you gotta measure. Do you want Wakanda on your team, or do you want the good old boys on your team? You see who she going with. And Tim Scott, go ahead, man. Hey, Tim Scott, man. I'm gonna say this. Can I cuss on here?
No. We are strictly don't fucking cuss at all. Okay. What's up, Jay? How you been, Jay? Good to see you, Jay. Tell him, Jay, we don't cuss on this motherfucker right here, man. Hell fucking no. What's up, bro?
So let me just say this, man. Tim Scott is one of them I don't get no pussy ass niggas, man. You can just tell, ladies. I don't know if y'all can tell, but me and the fellas could tell. When a
No,
nigga
it's
don't
no.
get no pussy,
It's no.
you can tell Tim Stockton don't get no pussy, even from his wife.
Right.
Like, I don't mean like no pussy out in the streets. I mean
Right.
like in
At
general,
At home.
he ain't getting no pussy. He not busting off. And if he is busting off, he ain't breaking nobody down. I'm gonna say that much. He not.
There's no quality.
He ain't never put on smoke the blunt and put on Tupac's greatest hits and then wore your back out. See, I want it.
Oh my God.
You ain't living.
Y'all laughing. Y'all been there
This
before.
too much.
They been-
This
they
too
been-
much for me. This too much.
Look,
we went.
too much. No, it ain't. Keep on, Joe.
Hey,
No, it ain't.
listen. I'm trying to keep black households together. These are the
Thank
ties. These are the ties that bind. And I'm telling you, Friday night, the lady upstairs in this house, know that Friday nights, if I come in here and I smell like Alizé and Hennessy, that's thug passion.
Thug passion, baby.
And
Hey.
she know what it's finna be. Back in elementary, strive don't miss me. Leave me alone, I'll grow up among the diabetes. So I'm a mind couldn't find a place to rest until I got this third lifetime.
1996.
Can you
Look
feel
at
it?
you. Look at
But hey,
I'm
real
done
quick.
with Mike.
Hold on, real quick. We got a surprise guest. My brother Jay Son came back.
Yeah.
He's been working on his. He's been working on
Good to see him.
focusing on the music career, and it's been popping, man. Shout out to El Presidente, the
El
mixtape,
Presidente.
doing big things. We Can Do, the single that's popping everywhere. What's up with you, Jay Son? Hold on, let me give you the proper intro.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's go.
the SE3 representative,
Hey,
DC's native son,
hey,
the one and only Jay Son. Welcome, sir.
hey. Thank you for
What up,
having me,
Jay?
babe.
Definitely.
Hey,
definitely.
yeah. When Jason come on, everything get blocked.
Right.
I get a little change. You see my change? You see my change?
I'm already in
my picture just
Facebook
got
jail.
blocked.
Like this can't
Look,
even
this
show up on my feed because I'm already in Facebook jail. So there's that.
Oh.
Man.
Yeah, this picture just said, look, when Jason came on the screen, Jean-Michel Basquiat started talking to me. He said, "Is that Jason?" Oh, that's your man. I said, "Yeah, that's my man. That's my man."
Oh, man.
Oh man.
What's up, bro? Welcome back, man. How you been?
It's good. It's good to be back, man. I'm well, man. The name of the show is called Neighborish, and the only reason I'm back because Dave is actually my next door neighbor. I'm in my driveway working on my truck. You're like, yeah, Joe's on tonight. He's like, I'm gonna send you the link. I'm like, all right, nigga. And then somebody actually posted the flyer for the show. It was like, yeah, my man Jay Son gonna be on with Joe Clair. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm fucking obligated.
They didn't know you took that break to work on your music.
Yeah, they think I'm still on the show. So I was like, I'm gonna come on in case somebody come on, checking for me.
Right. Well, I appreciate you, bro.
Then I log on. I hear Joe talking this wild ass shit. I'm like, oh my God, what I left.
I do.
Talk about you expect politicians to be talking real and not really. That's what you expect, nigga.
That's not what he said.
I expect her. I would love to see.
I don't believe you. This ain't PGC, nigga. So you really expect politicians to be going harder now? That's what you expect?
No.
That's what
not
you
what I
said.
said.
That is
That's
what you said.
No, that's not what he said.
I said post what we saw 2020. We would love to see, and I have seen some people on in the lower, like Trayon been going super hard. Hold on, let me finish.
Trayon don't count.
Hold on,
let me
finish.
All right.
You
Came
go
from
to
you,
Trayon,
bro?
I got a cat
What's
down
up,
in the
good
A.
dude. Good dude.
I got a council member down in Atlanta. This nigga started wearing his pistol on his hip. I got a nigga in Detroit. Been going hard. So what I'm saying is, I would love to see our black politicians really go hard and say the things that we have been wishing they would say in this country for the hundreds and hundreds of years we've been catching hell. However, when it came out her mouth, it didn't shock me. It didn't surprise me one bit. It was a little disheartening. You want to hear her say, "Yeah, y'all motherfuckers is racist."
Right.
Yeah, this Joe racist. I got to designate that I'm, Kamala Harris about 16 minorities, Joe, and she used all them jokes every time she gets introduced. The first Black South Asian woman of color with freckles from a, you know what I'm saying?
Hermaphrodite.
Fuck that, bro. It's funny.
Hold up. Now I ain't gonna do it.
That's funny.
Now listen. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that to the sister because
that was a joke. I'm sorry, Kamala.
It was funny.
And let's not forget, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, she all we got.
No, nigga, speak for yourself.
Who else we got? Bro? Who else we got?
We don't got nobody.
Say it again.
In a political realm, on a national or international level, no, we don't have any representation at all. She all you got.
Hey Jay, that's why this your show always. You hear me? That's why this your show, bro. You hear me?
Because I came on a little late and I heard Joe talking and shit. What the fuck is Joe talking about?
Nah, you got the whole thing.
Well, hold on.
I came in late though.
Don't alienate the guest. That's his opinion, man.
No.
Well, I mean, me and Joe know each other. He knows me.
I told you. I said when he come on, everything get blocked.
It did.
I knew it was coming on.
I'm sorry, y'all.
No, I knew it was
sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Do me a favor, Jay.
Yeah.
Jay, light a beady or something so everybody understand how black you about to keep it. Smoke a clove cigarette.
I like the sage up for you.
I know that's right.
Palo
Santo. You got a point. I mean, Jay. Here's the thing. This is the reason I love Jay because he does not sway
right
in his obligation and straight up and down 100% holding down of us.
Right.
And specifically, let me say this, of the sector of us who needs that voice the most.
Right.
So I'm always going to respect and love where he come from. Does it rub you a little harshly? Yeah, it make your neck burn a little bit. Fuck that. This America, I'm used to a little neck burn. I've been getting shaved up since I was 3, so I'm used to a little neck burn.
Right. But when you say the sector of our community that needs it the most, I don't know if you know about Cedar United, the organization that you founded it, right, Jay? You started it, right? Yeah. And I know he don't like me giving him accolades about it, but after the young man was shot behind our house, what was it, 4th of July last year?
Yeah.
And
Davon McNeil, Day McNeil.
Yeah, Day McNeil. Yeah, he started an organization. He went out there. First of all, Jay always been out there, y'all know. But he went out there because these are kids that he know personally, that he seen growing up and all this. So he started talking to the parents, talking to the people in that area back there, and started an organization. To start stop talking about what people don't do, but that's always been the way he is. Like he told me that one time we was talking about music, like why he got into music. It was like, I can't just talk about not being no good music out there. I gotta jump in there myself. If I'm gonna tell people it's not good, I gotta show them what good music is. And so he always been that type of dude. So I know you don't like when I shout you out for stuff like that, but it's so dope, man. I got to every time I get a chance, man. I appreciate what you do.
I appreciate you.
And, Stop faking and start asking these people for donations, man. So you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I donate.
You see, I don't see none of that in that man right there. He ain't asking for that man working and getting his, man. No. Keep running, bro. Don't stop.
I appreciate it, man. But I'm real curious to see what y'all got lined up for Joe, which is one of the reasons why I logged on tonight, man. Because a lot of the reasons why I left the show, it has to do with with the extra effort involved in the community and try to build an organization from the grassroots, from I guess the mud, and I'm curious to know what you have formatted for Joe, because I definitely have a lot of things that I want to ask him, man to man, in regards to like being somewhat of a public figure, and I kind of understand a little bit of Joe's upbringing and background based off our conversations. And, there are a lot of similarities and through lines with our understanding of things, especially being in media. And so I just got a lot to that I want to ask, but I also trust the show and Dave and how you format, how the show's going to go. So I'm gonna try to find my spots where I feel, appropriate questioning, comes in line.
You know how we used to do it, man. You know how it is, and it's funny. I just had that conversation with Mike before the show about the give and take and how we ask questions and things like that. And so making sure that we appropriate and not cutting each other off. Our goal is to always get better. Like I told Mike, man, my goal is to be one of the biggest podcasts in DC by the end of the year. And so having you here, Joe, is helping me a whole lot. So anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's get it popping.
Ask Joe some shit. So I'm about to like hop in like double dutch.
Okay.
Right? Or hop in like a jab, nigga. You ain't fooling nobody.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick my spot.
I did double dutch.
Like a boxer, right?
Somebody with the jab. I'm gonna pick my. That's called look out for the jab, Joe.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, actually, like for real, Joe, like you were.
I'm just fucking with you.
I've only jumped in one other time, and that was when we did the interview with Trayon and brother Malcolm from City Beats when they had that
yes, sir.
That conflict online. And so that was the only other show that I was like, I think I need to get involved to see what's up. So I figured this interview also has those type of meaningful conversations in regards to our community. So it's not really about me or about you, but I kind of have a sense of where your mind is at and how you think. And you are also a voice of the people on a day-to-day basis. And I have questions myself that I think would benefit from your audience and our audience, just for us, and along with the rest of the show, the cast, to have in real time. So that's what I'm like. Yeah, I'm like, all right, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So with that, speaking about Joe, you being a voice for the community and everything, every morning, you do something called your moment of clarity, or
yes,
most of the time you do the moment of clarity. A lot of stuff that you say affects and helps a lot of people on a regular basis. How did that come about? Like you doing that, first of all, and how much thought do you put into how much it affects like people's lives on a regular basis?
So that came about from my dear mother, who is, thank you so much, who you alluded to is she's fighting her own fight right now. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, back when I was a little kid, my mother was was one of those people who was a free thinker for the times. And so she had grown up in the Baptist church. She had grown up living the life that a good Christian woman was supposed to. And she realized that some of the things that were in those doctrines just did not fit the path or fit the life plan that she had for herself and her children. Mm-hmm. And so she decided to, I never forget it, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I was 8, and my mom was like, all right, well, if you guys don't want to go to church no more, it's up to you. We were like, what? What you mean, like today? It was Sunday when she said, I was like, today? Right. We don't want to go where you got to go? And, I'm thinking like, and we because we was, it was, I was an 8-year-old in church.
Right.
But what it really did is it actually put more obligation on me to understand my spiritual life at a very early age, understand what I, get to my beliefs and get to my core beliefs early in life. And, she was one of those people that said to me, there are a whole bunch of religions and there's no religion. You're going to have to decide for yourself while you here on the planet, what's going to go on in your life. And man, that blew my mind when I was 14, 15 years old.
Wow. But
she was also saying to me, you now have to take your life in your hands and go make it. At that point I was starting to get a little, things was getting a little dicey and seat placid in Peppermill. Right. And so she just said, and so we moved to Bright Seat Road as if that was any better. and so she was giving me things that will make me, that I see now, will help me hold my head through here in America, being Black, being being somewhat of a creative and a loudmouth, she gave me that. So I always wanted to be able to spread some type of either motivation or inspiration that, I didn't have to actually count on scripture all the time, because everybody doesn't relate to scripture the same way.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to speak some of the truths that I knew, and speak things that would empower people, whatever religious class, socioeconomic, race, anything. Hopefully give something that is enlightening, motivating, and inspiring, for the day out of that 60 seconds, because the rest of the day is Lil Uzi Vert in them.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so for me, that was my caveat. That was my, all right, cool. Our music is not the greatest music in America these days. We talk about a lot of dark images and a lot of dark imagery in the music, and it's extremely popular. What can I do to do my little part of being a responsible person on the edge, I'll say, person in the community? All right, let's start with this moment of clarity. You notice is that it's the first thing we do in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Jay, did you do a Patrice and raise your hand? That's not how we do.
I've been away for a while. I'm trying to do my turn.
What you got, Jay? Good.
He kind of answered my question, man, because a lot of the reasons, one of the reasons why I stepped away from doing the podcast is that I'm somewhat on like the spiritual journey, and I'm just tired of like talk and sound bites. And you mentioned like how our music is terrible, right? And so I always wondered, because I know you now. I was like, wow, I wonder how that affects him, like being on the radio, but the radio being controlled by the owners who have an emphasis and an agenda to kind of manipulate our people through music. And it's a known agenda, at this point in 2021. I think within the past 30 to 40 years, people have kind of figured out like, oh, that's why it's called programming. So these songs and these record labels and these program directors have an agenda to kind of manipulate our culture in a way that benefits the owners, so the bankers and the corporations. And so I was like, wow. So it's like, as an on-air personality, having a general understanding of the intentional program designed specifically for our community to ensure, death and misogyny and, drug usage. And, what I'm saying? It's like, wow, how does he deal with that? So I guess in your question, that moment of clarity is a way to combat it. And also, and this is a question, keep some level of sanity in the midst of being bombarded with those lyrics and those frequencies and vibrations for 4 to 6 hours every day.
So for me, the absolute love for Black expression, Jason, a long time ago, I had to come to grips with the fact that what I believed should have been isn't necessarily what people were going to make, people were going to gravitate to, what the systems was going to use. I remember this is a story I tell a lot. Back when I was working at BET, there was a company-wide meeting. All the employees, which meant all the employees in DC, all the employees in New York would, it was a teleconference, Chicago teleconference, LA. So it's, all the BET employees. And I got up in front of, Bob Johnson and Deborah Lee and all the rest of them. They had mics for us to ask questions. And at this time, I wasn't even really a real BET employee. I was a freelance. So I was a hired, all them years I was on Rap City, they hired my company as opposed to me working for BET. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway.
Wasn't an associate.
Wasn't even associate. I was just like a vendor.
Right.
They paid me like I was a nigga who did chips or something.
Right.
I was a vendor. Anyway, and people are getting up and asking questions, and I'm watching the questions. Now, y'all gotta remember, I had just come out of Morgan State University. I was steeped in everything Black culture, from the most elite Black experience you could experience, all the way down to my niggas in my hub. You feel what I'm saying? I was us. And I felt, even then, I felt that there was a need for this type of thing. So I get up in front of this entire crowd and I asked Bob Johnson, I asked Mr. Johnson if BET was going to expand its children's programming. At the time, they used to have Gullah Gullah Island used to come on in the morning, and some other little stuff around it. So I asked if they was going to do more of that, and you should have heard the gasp that went across that motherfucking room, man. Like, and that's when I realized, Jay, that I was in where I was in over my head as far as my spiritual journey, my spiritual understanding, what I knew. I was in way over my head. And so if I'm going to do anything, well, guess what? I'm going to try and be a rational voice, an entertaining voice, because you can't make no bread without no entertainment, a rational voice. And I had to come to grips with the fact that, is even 20 years ago, 30 years ago now, 91, the music was misogynistic. The music was violent. The music was dark. Those frequencies were there. I know our generation loves to romanticize. This new shit ain't nothing, but I will never forget the day. And that for everybody listening, the first day I heard the line, "What about the bitch who got shot? Fucker. You think I give a damn about a bitch? I ain't a sucker." That jump just shook me to my core.
Who was that? Who said that?
Right.
That was Eazy-E.
Oh, damn. Well,
It was NWA. The movie that got Oscars and shit.
Right.
You
Yeah.
feel me?
For the same reasoning I'm talking about.
Right.
And I could not believe, and it wasn't that, Jay, and here go the thing, Jay, it wasn't that it was appalling to me that they sold it to us. The appalling part to me was how many niggas was buying it.
Was loving it, yeah.
And friends I grew up with, my man right here, my good dog who's on his way to be a professor, my man who's studying law, this guy right here, and they all are, with the shits. And I'm like, hold on, man, y'all ain't going back to KRS-One? We not going back to Chuck D and them? What and I sort of got pushed out. Like, nah, we don't fuck with that, Joe. Not like that. And so very, very early, Jay, I had to come to grips with what I was into, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, that moment of clarity is kind of that your effort at making that balance. It's that same thing.
And then if you notice the stories that we bring, I try to bring as much community stuff, as much things about economic empowerment. I'm slipping it in there. Hey, there's a new program that's got this such and such, and hoping that my niggas is listening, and then they don't get offended because I'm right in the middle. Now, the only fucked up part about being in the middle, you the one get shot first.
Right.
So it's at times it's a scary place to be, man.
Yeah.
At times.
Better you than me, nigga.
You know what I wonder about though. What I wonder about though, and I wanted to ask you. Hold on.
So these niggas is ruthless, man.
Hey, only say that because I was at BET too, Joe. And I've had a similar experience. Actually, my resignation letter is legendary at BET. You were just already gone.
Who did you give it to?
Renee Turner.
Okay, I'm a check. I know Renee.
Team Summit. So who was on my team? WAP?
Yep.
WAP was on my team.
So me and WAP grew up together.
Yeah, that's why he was the first one. But Fran.
Yes.
So I was on Team Summit staff. My resignation letter is legendary, bro. Like, I went all the way in, and I didn't even get fired. I was just like, I can't do this. I was like, this is just ridiculous. So that's why I made that statement. Like, yeah, nigga, better you than me. Cause at that time, I don't have the balance that you have, or the understanding of the balance. You know, I'm like, yo, we can't do this. We can't air this. And, you know, this is unacceptable. And it's like, at the time, I just wasn't willing to compromise the integrity of our people. But as I've gotten older, I understand what it is to be in the middle. And I understand that position. So it's no way I could ride somebody, or, you know what I'm saying, give a one lane conversation to a person, because it's so layered. And I don't think people understand that. And so that's why I appreciate the moment of clarity, because in your position, is really all you can do is to ensure that you add your essence to, you know what I'm saying, your platform. Because you don't want to, because sometimes it's not wise to rock the boat. Like, and I'm a boat rocking motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? But you know, at this stage, we have to be agenda based. And so if you rock yourself out the boat, they're going to put somebody else on the boat that's going to steer that motherfucker all the way the wrong way. So, but I didn't understand those things when I was at BET. I was gung ho, and
you still gung ho, nigga.
Yeah, but I work for myself though. Like, I don't have to answer to anybody, or have to, you know, submit reports, because, you know, I was producing segments, and my segments was going hard. My segments was going hard.
Yeah, the joint called Fuck Whitey, didn't he? No, I'm just playing. Nah, but what I was going to say, it was something that Chappelle said a couple of months ago when he put out, I think when he put out the one about the stand-up that he did, well, the discussion he did about George Floyd, and he was talking about how he can't even say some real stuff without wrapping it in a joke. Right. And so as a comedian, and like as somebody who has that platform, like, do you feel that way? Is that like something that's, you know, that's felt if it's not funny?
On some no bullshit. So I explained to Jay who my mother was. My mother's, you know, I never met anybody like her in my whole life. And one day she sat me down and told me, make sure you choose your battles wisely. Make sure, she said, especially you, of all her children, me and my father have fiery temper. My dad, you know, he come from the Haitians, right? He's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And if you go back, they both came from Haiti. That's how he I think he's third generation Haitian, right? Still super fiery. He ain't gonna fight you. He is gonna crack this bottle, and it's well, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This shit is real. And so my mother understood very early that, man, I have a fiery temper. I was growing up in Sea Pleasant. You already know what it is. And she explained to me that if you're gonna go that route, by all means go that route. But make sure you can knock niggas out when you're doing it. Because if not, if you can't knock niggas out and keep knocking niggas out, that's gonna be a short-lived path for you, Joseph. Right. And it hurt to hear that, but I was like, you know, I'm not that good at knocking niggas out. I've tried, and it didn't work. And I thought he was gonna fall like in the movies, and he didn't. It didn't happen. So the other thing was, then I watched comedy, you know, and let's talk comedy as the way that we become comedians. I watch niggas from the streets use their mouth and the funny part of being us to get out of going to jail, to make money, to get out of getting their ass beat, to you know, talk to a woman and get her on his, you know what I'm saying? So I saw the strength and the power in that. Right. It takes some craft and some skill to be able to navigate, and as Dave Chappelle say, yeah, put these tough things inside of a joke so that you will recognize that I was really giving a political speech the whole time. Right. You might not catch it for a couple hours, a couple weeks, couple days, couple months, but you're gonna understand where the fuck I was really coming from and off the break.
Yeah.
With that said, I also grew up in a time where I will not front materialism. I took to materialism and having nice shit like a fish to water or a chick to Miami. I need my shit. I grew up in the time where hustlers became hustlers. I watched, 13 and 14-year-old friends go purchase cars and do those types of things. And I bought right into that. So my hustle, because at the time everybody was hustling, I was like, well, my hustle is I don't hit the streets, but I'm going to go have this life that I want. Using my mouth, using my brain, doing shit that's going to get me there. And so, to be quite transparent, the two still live in me. I want to be a man who can provide for his wife and his kids, and I want to be able to give them the things that, some of the stuff that we really want in this life. I've seen, over time, a lot of this shit is bullshit. And you don't covet material things. I get that part. But, if she like to cook in them Cuisinart pans, I'm going to buy her these motherfucking Cuisinart pans. Goddamn it. And I'm going to tell enough jokes to get them Cuisinart pans. Well, the fucked up part about that is once your kids see Cuisinart pans, they think that's the norm.
Right.
So you got to keep. So it went from I just like nice shit to damn. What am I setting up to? Oh, this is what we setting up. This is gonna be my legacy. Maybe let me make sure I give them all of this shit. And so my kids, they knew who Basquiat was by the time they was 2 and 3. They also know who, like, I got Miles Davis right there. I got Sean Price right there. I got Biggie and Nipsey right there. But I also had Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, and all them upstairs. And we give them, they get the, oh yeah, that's Miles Davis. Can I go watch these motherfucking Paw Patrols?
Right.
So, that's where I am with it.
Yeah.
And so the comedy, I'm gonna wrap this shit up in the comedy, bro. I have to.
Yeah, definitely. And you brought up your mom. Mike was telling me that he had done some research, some stuff I didn't know about her being a poet. You know what I'm saying? And a couple of things.
Mike spoke on the last show, and I looked at some of her poems. It's awesome. Her books, woman's about. When you say she's amazing, you're not lying. You're not lying.
Yeah, she if I can, for the ladies who's listening, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, but watching how, Black women have had to carve themselves a lane and an existence in America, oftentimes without us. Let's just keep it real. The forces that work against us to keep us apart. Women have taken giant steps. And I watched my mother when she was 40 years old say, well, she came home one day, she was like, I don't go to work no more. Jason, just like you did at BET, I can't do this no more. She came home one day with 4 kids and a husband across town who was doing whatever the fuck he was doing at the time, and said, I can't do that no more. I'm gonna go be a writer. And we was like, writer of what? Because we heard these poems. And these motherfuckers don't rhyme. Ain't no magical creatures in it or nothing. This what you gonna be right? I mean, where's the princess and the dragon? Where's that shit? Ain't none of that shit. And of course, at the time, I might have been 10 or 11. Well, she went back through undergraduate, got a degree in English, and went on to get a master's in creative writing, and then wrote books that took her around the world and became a professor at GW. Wow. So you can imagine how I feel about women if I'm coming from Bright Sea Road,
right,
and watching my niggas be my niggas, and then watching women like my mother like take these fucking strides, and then watch my pop, and if we gonna keep it $1.50, watch my pop have a stereotypical reaction to it. For a long time, he was adversarial with that. process that she was going through, because he didn't see himself in that forward thing in the way she was going. Now he saw himself, he was an attorney. He worked for the Department of Education, and there was a trajectory that he had understood from back in the day. You bring your woman with you, you bring your kids with you. We're going to go do it this way, and this is how it's going to be done, and so on and so forth. And my mother was like, well, since you live over there, how about you do that over there at your house? Because you don't know how to act at this house. At this house, we're going to do it this way. And I never forget, for everybody who can hear me, man, before he passed, we had a Christmas at my mother's house, and he was at my mother's house, and I hadn't realized that this was the first time that they had been together in her home since I was, a little kid. This is the first time they had been together. This is the first time he actually got to sit down and have Christmas dinner with us since I was 5. And at this point, this was when I was approaching 50 at this point. So to tell you how long this process took for him to come around, and he was, he had gotten wiser. Y'all remember how Mr. was at the end of Color Purple when he went down to the immigration place and made sure Celia got her sister back?
Right, yeah.
My pops was at that stage.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of like walking these two things where I gotta honor my mother, but I also gotta honor my father.
Yeah.
You honor your mother and your father, and I gotta do both. And luckily he told me, hey man, don't be like me, bruh. He told me real early, look, man, don't do that hard-headed shit I did, man. You don't have to, Joseph. That's not something you have to do. And I hope it's coming through in who I am.
100%.
That we can still be strong Black men, love our women, and let her have her agenda, let her have her thing that she's gonna have in this world, and walk with her. But at the same time, make sure she's walking with you. Don't let her curry you. Don't let her curry, because they'll curry you quick. What Cam saying, you will say, or they'll simp you. If you let her, listen.
Yeah.
If you let her, she will simp your ass so quick.
So quick.
I mean, but it's the same as ladies. Don't let him run your life, because he'll pimp you real quick. It's the same thing. And so I hope that comes through in who I am and who both of them made me, man.
Right. I was going to ask, like, just seeing that process, like you said, it took all those years for that whole process to come full circle. First of all, as being, the person who grew up with them as your parents, the person, the people who you look up to for, right and wrong, good and bad, things like that, seeing that process up until this point, how has it affected how you interact with your wife and, how you live your life in general?
Fuck yeah. Look here, man. So,
right?
Y'all know what marriage is, man. Marriage has always been tough. What'd you say, Jay?
I said no, we don't.
Well, actually,
No, we don't.
Mike knows what it is.
Mike knows.
How long have you been married, Mike?
9 months.
This nigga don't know what it is either.
So we're good.
9 months, nigga? Nah, you don't count.
Joe about to give you some game, Mike. Go ahead.
Let me give you this. Let me give everybody this.
Yeah.
And all right, so if you choose somebody and you say this person, I'm gonna walk with this person to the end, make sure you're able to walk all the way to the end. That was the first thing that I learned from my mother and my father's divorce. In that the part of it that he thought he was holding up, he wasn't holding up.
Right.
The walking with us to the end part was the part that in that unit, it couldn't survive.
Right.
We talk about frequencies. Jay, he used to be on this other frequency daily. He did have a substance abuse problem. We found out much later. but it was a different frequency. And where she was going, and then that loving presence was so strong in the house that the kids we took straight to our mother. Like, you come on, if you got a poet mother, you gonna follow her anywhere. Your mother's a poet. She always got raisins in her purse. She you know what I'm saying? And she worked at the hospital. So she taught us how to count cells and shit like that, and how to identify, molecular breakdowns and shit like that. Yeah, you gonna follow this person anywhere. Meanwhile, my father's like, you kids need to understand this jazz music and listen to it while I go down here and smoke this reefer. I'll be right back. Right. You're gonna be like, okay, Dad, we see you when you get back. Right. Yeah. You're gonna take to your mother. I'm gonna gravitate to that lady. And what I realized, by the time I was 15, I had to spend the summer with my pop. He lived on 14th and Rhode Island, right? So 14th and Rhode Island was 14th and Rhode Island. Right. It was you understand what I'm saying? Right, yeah. So you can imagine, I'm coming from Peppermill Village. I'm getting off the bus. I'm getting off the yellow cheese bus, right? At Peppermill Village, I'm walking past the Central Guards niggas because they used to throw rocks at you when you go into the subway. I'm hopping on Addison Road subway by myself, and I'm going into DC on Friday after I get out of school to go spend a weekend with my dad. And I gotta get off. I get off in McPherson Square, which is right there by Park at 14. Right. Yep. And I gotta walk up to Rhode Island. If you come out the subway station, you make a left, you headed uptown towards Rhode Island. You going that way. But if you go this way, about the next 2 blocks that way, they had bath houses. They had the red light joints like they had in Amsterdam. Right. You had pimps, you had hoes, you had smoke shops, you had all that kind of shit. And y'all got to excuse me, but remember when Snoop was like, "We don't love them hoes." I was like, "Speak for yourself, Snoop." I have an affinity for the house. I don't see what's wrong. You tell me what's wrong. Right. I don't know what's wrong with them, Snoop. They've been cool. They cool with me. Right. And plus, they transaction even. Right. What you want? Right. What you want? So
thought it was just me. I swear.
Nah, it ain't just you. I was, I'm fascinated by that shit. And when I was a kid and going to spend my time with my dad, man, that shit was just like, that right there was just the most mind-blowing thing. And so it was, but then he schooled me out there on 14th. If I can, my pop schooled me out on 14th Street. What he used to do was he'd take me out on 14th Street and he'd make me have conversations with the homeless people. No bullshit. If he could get like a pimp to talk to us, if he could get
he was doing interviews back then.
Right.
Damn. I got on Rap City.
Hey, you start early. Shit. I ain't mad at you. Shit.
Well, what he would do is he would say shit like this. So it was, they knew my dad. And he'd be like, so listen, hey y'all, he don't want to do his homework. Tell him what happened when he don't do his homework. What you mean you don't do your homework? You better listen to your father. Shit. I wish my father was out here with me. You better do your motherfucking homework. And then here come one of the girls. Yeah, tell him, Daddy, do his motherfucking homework. You want so you can get your money up, come get some of this. But he gave me, you know what I'm saying? He gave me that. Yeah. And I don't forgot what question we was on, but
I was asking how it affected you, seeing that that relationship come full circle between your mom and your dad.
You was on 14th Rhode Island. Let's stay there.
Heron out on 14th Street got me all fucked up.
Right. Oh man.
But with that said, yeah, it makes me come in the house every night. One of the things I get joned out about is, nigga, you washed. how you talking about you hip hop and you this and you that, nigga? You go in the house every night. And I'm like, you know what? Because that's way more important than this fuck shit y'all out here chasing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I learned from him going through that shit that he didn't have to go through with my mother he had a different understanding. And maybe he could have done something for her life had she had a different understanding if he was being what we envisioned.
Right.
And so that's why I come in the fucking house, man. Yeah. I do homework, I do dishes. I sweep the floor at night, make sure the crumbs and shit is up on the floor.
My wife is in here. Don't
fucking up for Mike.
My bad. Hold on.
I do all that stuff too, Joe, and I'm not married.
You want to get shit started? Oh God!
But I'm not married. I'm not jeopardizing anything, Mike.
Right?
No, I know I most certainly need to step up in those regards. It's just I work long hours. I'm tired, and she's an awesome person. I got great kids. It's like, but damn, it's like she's like, you know, can you pick your shoes up? I'm like, I just put them right there in the floor.
He go to Wild Pot, and her shoes be right there next to him. He just picked them up.
You picked them up. You picked them up.
Hold up.
Wasn't this my shoes and your shoes too?
Your shit was sitting right here up until 20 minutes ago. Why are you yelling at me? Right. Lady? Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, marriage is.
I don't went in the husband mode.
I don't want to talk about marriage.
Yeah, but yeah, taking it in another direction though. Well, kind of keeping it on your inception or your growth, you know, as an entertainer. You know, I like to talk about inspiration. You know, so who's the funniest person you've ever met?
Funniest person I've ever met in my whole entire life is my oldest brother, Steve. Steve is the brother I do the jokes about. He came out the closet when I was 11 or 12 years old, right? This is the absolute funniest motherfucking person I have ever met in my whole life. I don't give a fuck about comedians. I don't give a fuck about niggas you think is funny from your block. I don't give a fuck about this. My brother, and he go to ill part, you know, I bump into cats nowadays who, you know, now they in their 60s or whatever. And like, hey man, where your crazy ass brother at? Boy, that nigga used to have me dying laughing. You Steven's brother? You not Steven's brother. Yeah, Steven. Oh my God. Where is he? Because he's one of the funniest people I ever, and I mean genuinely, the funniest person I ever, and this is my big brother. This is my oldest brother. Man, he's 6'4". He this color. Y'all see what color this is? He black as could be. And he just funny as hell. Like
they just posted your stand-up. I think it was on what, DMV Hood News. I think you was on Comedy Jam. They just posted
exactly. I was on Mark Lawrence. I was on Mark Lawrence talking about my brother.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's been a real good funny thing. My question is, so when he came out to you at 11, you ain't cared, did you? Did you know?
I cared at that point. I cared about what other people thought. I cared about at this point in time, my parents had already split and we going through all kinds of shit. So I didn't want no more stigma. We was already dysfunctional. We was the only kids on our block that didn't have a man in the house. Every house on our block had a man in it, right? Either it was the father or the stepfather or the mother's friend who lived there, Mr. Greg, Mr. Joe, you know, that's Uncle Joe, these cats. And so there was I didn't want no more stigmas. And my friend, a good friend of mine, reminded me about a time where my brother had just come home. He came home from Tennessee State, and now my mother sat us down a week before my brother came home for summer from Tennessee State, and sat us down and explained to us what it was. He had called her and told her, "Listen, I'm out. Girl, listen. It's too crowded in this closet. Bitch, we out. What you want? Right? And so you can imagine, I'm talking 1981 to 82 in Seat Pleasant in Peppermint. That was the most, it was like, why don't you can't do nothing else? You ain't gonna shoot a nigga or something instead? Because I don't know if that's something that we can carry, right? Right. But not in a way like stay over there. I love my brother, and we, he was my caretaker. He took me around. He showed me shit. He, would carry me to work. He worked at the Pentagon for a while. He would take me to work. He always showed us anything he could show us, and he treated. So I go to the ends of the earth for my brother. I just didn't want the trip to be so difficult around the earth. At 11 and 12 years old, those are the feelings that you're gonna take in. It wasn't until I was about 17 years old, 18 years old, and I started to understand what my brother's plight was. And I started to understand that his life is not going to be easy. And the fact that he carries it with so much class and with so much strength, and he funny than a motherfucker. Right. He just became like that's my hero. Like that's my that's my hero. He done put clothes on my back. I don't watch him put clothes on other people's back. I don't watch him deliver people from hell. Our home was a home where a lot of gay people came because, on Christmas I would ask why these, it'd be, six, 3 or 4 gay dudes and then, a lesbian woman. And I'm like, why they at our house on Christmas? Why they not with their family? And then my brother explains that they can't go home. Their parents don't accept them. They don't have anywhere to go. Some of them at the time had been kicked out as early as 13 or 14 years old and been living on the streets all this time. And so once I understood what all that shit meant, yeah, he became my hero. And then while I was at Morgan State University, my brother called me and explained to me that he was HIV positive. And he's still around today. So you could imagine the shit I done seen him have to go through in his life. And he carried it with a smile. Shit, that's my nigga. And I'll roll with that nigga to the ends of the earth over anybody. I don't give a fuck who you bring up.
That's right. Yeah. I want to ask you something. So I sit here and I watch you, and I heard you use 2 words. You ready? You said motherfucker and fuck so fluently, like they just it felt so great, right? But I also watched you hold a gospel, a Christian audience, and you captivated them with yes. You captivated them with nuances and comedy that you didn't. The punchline was in all of it. It was in how you need not say much of anything. You just kept. It's like you felt like you was. It was like a pocket. It was in a pocket. And I was watching it. I was like, how is he not cussing right now? Because this shit is funny as hell. But you don't have to cuss. And when you don't have to cuss and you funny, to me, if you make somebody peel themselves, you ain't say a bad word, you're a bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? And I appreciate
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. I appreciate you said it was a question, Mike. Do you have a question, or you just wanted to shower him with accolades?
I know Dave done turned into me. Like, stop, Dave.
I know.
Somebody has to do it since you're not around, Jay.
So my question was, how the fuck did you do? How the fuck did you speaking to us real? How did you? Because when you're there, you can't say certain words, but you can look at the motherfucker like motherfucker. You ain't got to say motherfucker. You just
he go to wild shit. The church crowd, the Christian crowd is the same crowd as the Saturday night crowd. Yeah. There's only a few people in that crowd There's only a few people in the Christian crowd that ain't had a drink on Saturday night. And I know that. we are all, look, man, we human beings.
Right.
I don't put anybody in superhero status, man. And you know, being from DC, man, you know what I'm saying? We don't let shit shake us, right? So if the audience is a Christian audience, okay, I'm gonna let y'all wear y'all Christian robe today. You have on your Christian air. I know you personally are a drinker. I can see it in your, I can see the Newports and and the brown liquor in your face. Right. I've known that face since I was 4. Right. I don't give a fuck if we could be taping this special on the moon. I know that face. I know a Miller High Life face. I know a motherfucking Steel Reserve face. I know. And at the same time, you know, because of who my parents are, how I grew up, I understand all of our humanity. And at the end of the day, I'm hoping that the things that are coming out my mouth hit your humanity in a way that you can receive it. So in that Christian jump, make sure there ain't no cuss words in there, but make sure the motherfuckers is in there. Right. If you understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
Because you understand, and let's keep it $1.50. You know, everybody in the church, when you start hollering it, you know, you see your man, you be like, I thought you was with the church now. Hey man, Jesus was in the streets. Right. Don't be right. Hey man, don't hit me with that. Jesus was in the streets. See, you need to read the scripture, Joe. So you know what I'm saying? It's both ways. Right. And I'm hoping, thank you, Mike, because I swear I be scared. I be up there nervous that it won't be funny without the cuss word. Mm.
You know, it was. I'll forgive me. I'm not gonna ask you to put it. I watched one, and you had them, and you had everybody from the front to the back, and you just kept saying yes. I think you was speaking about some type of
it was Bobby. I was doing a Bobby Jones impersonation.
I don't even know. I had to like Google who he was. I was like, oh yes. I mean, it's love. It's love, because if we can laugh about this shit, let's move on. Let's laugh. It's real. I mean, I want to laugh about all that shit.
I don't know what it is about that one performance. Mike called me after he watched it. It was like, yo, have you seen Joe Clair or the Bobby Jones? I was like, nah, I'm gonna pull it up though. He was like, yo, watch that joy. And he just intrigued how, you know, but that's, you know, as comedians, like you said, you gotta have that in your arsenal to be able to work that in there without actually having the words in there.
Or you guys need a paycheck like a motherfucker, because you go in there, that's tough. Like that's tough because you can't say no bad word. You can't say one bad word. Like you say one bad word, everybody like, oh, that man.
Right.
Like, what do you say?
Like, so I like to think that I'm going right up to the edge of that. I feel like I hope I'm going right up to the edge of when it becomes inappropriate. Right. And you know, and the reaction, I ain't gonna front. The first time I did a church crowd and saw their reaction, it blew my mind. Mm-hmm. I was like, y'all laughing at this? And I ain't, oh, for real? Oh, keep going, Joe. Don't let them know yet. Keep going. And then you get off stage, you be like, man, I can't believe they ain't laughing at this, man. Cause you know, you go to like a real, we have in comedy, there's mainstream comedy, and then they have what they call chitlin circuit, right? Right. So in the Def Jam era, that became like what we call them the nigger rooms, right? We call them nigger rooms because you know who gonna be in there. It's gonna be Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. They drinking brown liquor for sure. All the brown gonna be gone. The menu don't got nothing above it, nothing above a chicken wing on it. You got wings, you might have a shrimp basket, but it's gonna be them little shrimp baskets. Right. Remember that?
Right.
Y'all remember that little shrimp basket you used to get from Young's?
Yeah.
Y'all got a shrimp basket for $3. Right. Give me that. It'd be like, it be them shrimp. It be the seahorses and shit. Right. And so you go in them rooms, and when you go to tell jokes in there, man, you can't be no slouch. because they gonna eat your ass up. And I had to do them rooms in some of the hardest neighborhoods in America. You hear me?
Yeah.
In some of the hardest neighborhoods in America. They used to have this place called Jimmy's Bronx Cafe. You in the Bronx, right? Like you in the Bronx. You in the motherfucking Bronx, South Bronx.
Right.
You see why they made up hip hop music.
Right.
You see why this shit, why the world gotta be so damn tough. Right. You saw that shit, right? And it's Saturday night, and the show don't start till 11:30. So you ain't getting on stage before 2:15 in the morning. And nigga, you better bring it. And the stage is like two of my desks put together. It's small as shit. So the whole place can see you.
Right.
And these Bronx niggas expect you to be fired. Right. And if you ain't, they gonna eat your ass up. You might not make it out that motherfucker. Wow. And you know, here I come, straight out of DC, Seat Pleasant, Morgan State, represent BT. I'm on Rap City. They already like, fuck this nigga. He ain't from New York and he on Rap City. Right. Fuck he about to do? This nigga, what he about to host us to death, nigga? What the fuck is he about to do? And you know, New York niggas is and women is rough, even the women. Right. Fuck is you about to do? You better be funny, Joe Clair. You better fucking be funny. No, word up, Myra. No, on some real shit, Myra. You better fucking be funny. You know, they still, New York be having them names still. Nah, Myra. No, Myra, hold on a second. Fuck that. Joe Clair, you better be fucking funny when we get in here. You know what I'm saying? And so you gotta fucking bring it. You gotta fucking bring it. But the shift is, if you know how to bring it to them, when you get in front of a Christian audience and you say one thing and they laughing, you be like, man, this the easiest. Man, how long y'all need me to stay up here? I can stay up here all day. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, Mike. That's the strength of being a comic. And I swear to God, it ain't because I'm some gifted individual. It's because I'm scared from the Bronx. One of these Bronx niggas might be in this Christian crowd. Yo, get off the stage, B. Word up. Right. Sorry, Pastor. I apologize, Pastor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Was it an easy transition from being a journalist or interviewing to actually trying to? What came first? Was you?
Comedy came first.
So
comedy came first. So
you try to stand up first.
Yeah, stand up was. I started doing stand up when I was in college. My senior year of college was my first real show, and look, I went down to a real nightclub, and I was doing these college jokes on a real nightclub. Man, they started booing me, right? They started booing me, and I found the nigga who was booing me, and I joned his motherfucking ass. I came with everything.
There you go.
I'm coming with all them joints. You feel what I'm saying? Hey Jay, I told him, man, are you just mad because your uncle used to jerk his dick and have a conversation with you at the same time?
That's right. That's right. Curtis Phillips.
The crowd, you hear me? The crowd fell out, and this old nigga went and bought me a drink. He bought me a drink and handed it to me while I was still on stage. I was like, oh, this is the life for me.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, stand-up was first. And then Rap City came just because, to Jay's point, I didn't like the representation of who hip-hop journalists were. They always made us characterizations of who, you know, I respect Andre, but Andre had to toe the line for New York hip-hop at the time and being on MTV. So MTV made it was real. They could never be serious. They wouldn't, you know, I need to see Chuck D be able to explain himself. I need to be able to see KRS-One explain himself and get deep into, you know, what the Ankh means and why I need to understand, you know, Chesimard and Asada and all of these things that these guys have been giving me. And I didn't see that on MTV. So I started calling BET like, maybe I can get on Rap City one day. Maybe I could be on there and talk about it from a kid who graduated with a degree and loved his music and loved who we are. And that's how Rap City came about. Journalists. Hey, journalist said journalist. Nigga, I ain't no journalist.
I think you redefined what journalist means. So
yeah, cause hey, look, like so I had we had DJ Gemini on here a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling him how like he's a dope DJ, like one of the best DJs in this area. But one of the reasons I became a fan of his was because of some of his interviews. And the same thing with, like, you have some of the most prolific, and I know people, you know, tell you this all the time, but some of the best interviews in hip hop and, you know, TV. Like, so let's talk about Rap City a little bit, man. Like, what was your, like, did you have like a favorite interview, like one where you was like, yeah, I nailed that one, like that one is perfect? Like, do you have one of those?
Nah.
Not really?
Nah, I was always scared that I was looking too much like a fan on camera.
Okay.
Every interview I did, I was always like, all right, so you gotta understand, if you come from the DMV, we already know y'all the city ain't letting us get away with Obama shit. Right. Point blank, period. Not even an inch. We don't get an inch for Obama shit. And so if you on there looking like you these niggas' biggest fans, hey Joe, man, the fuck is you doing, Slim? Hey man, look at this nigga, man. This nigga over here talking to these rappers like, man, get the fuck my slap one, you know.
Right.
I'm from my smack, man. Fuck Rakim, I smack Rakim. You know, that's how DC niggas is, right? And so I was always scared that I was looking too much like a fan, because the art of hip hop, the actual riding a beat with a poem that makes you think and dance at the same time, you a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
That don't exist nowhere else on the planet.
Yeah.
Can't nobody do that.
Right.
Can't nobody. I mean, if you think about it, you had to have America in order to have a KRS-One, in order to have a Jay-Z. Yeah. You couldn't have those artists. I mean, show me where else on the planet. Right. Anywhere else on the planet, people with our skin make that kind of shit and it go and shake up the world.
Right, change how they do. Like there's people in Japan and, you know, China try to, you know, get cornrows and try to ride the beat in Japanese. Right. They done tried to ride the beat in every language on the planet. Hey. All for some South Bronx shit. That's crazy. Yeah.
The art, so for me, and I'm sorry, I got my degree in psychology at Morgan State, but I started as an art major.
Okay.
So for me, the creative part of a motherfucker being able to do that blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows, and then you meet these dudes, and these dudes are like, yeah, I'm from the project. I'm like, you from the project?
Right.
And you know how to make this incredible shit?
Right.
How? Explain it to me. Explain this to me. Explain it to me.
Yeah.
And so that's that. My favorite, or one of my favorite interviews happened when I got to meet the Wu, right?
Okay.
And I forgot whose album it was, but all the Wu came, and Dirt walked up to one of our producers and said, "Pardon me, would you happen to have any lotion in your purse? I don't want to be on TV looking ashy. Would you happen to have any lotion?" And it fucked me up that the old dirty bastard started his sentence with, "Pardon me." To this day, I still say "pardon me" in everyday speak when I'm on the train, anywhere, because I picked it up from him. Oh, that's no bullshit.
That's crazy.
I interviewed Bone Thugs and Harmony on St. Clair, right? Wow. On East 99 and St. Clair. And we almost got shot, robbed. I was almost caught him in shooting a nigga. and I might have witnessed some human trafficking. I don't know. I'm trying to. This shit was so real.
Right.
And so that's why, and that's kind of why, Jay, and for everybody's point, that's kind of why I still give these rappers a bit of a pass for the shit that's in their music. Mm-hmm. Given my relationship to hip hop music, to the art form, and watching a guy take all the fuck that he knows and turn it into something. Mm-hmm. For me, it's always gonna get an applause. I might not bump you in my car, but I'm damn sure gonna cheer for you, brother. Real shit.
Yeah, and speaking to that, like you talked also a little bit about like the impact of hip hop, around the world, and it's easy to forget how impactful it is all over the world. Like I think I was telling Mike and I had a conversation when DMX passed away, and just seeing all of the stuff that was going on around that time, all the outpouring, the love to his family, to everything, how many people he touched. And just gave like hope to and thought all over the world. It's just interesting to see that. And earlier I was talking to Mike about your music and about how noticing from the mixtape, New Music for Old Niggas, like
yes,
it's dope. And so how much passion you put into music, and like that same amount of passion that you put into comedy. It's hard to see. Like, do you have one that you love more, or is either?
Well, let me say this. If I had the money, I would sit down here and I would make beats all day, every day. That's what I would do. I would get up in the morning, make music. I don't necessarily gotta be the rapper. But
you should though. You good at it, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. With the rap shit, it's like you hear no so many times because you're a comedian, because you have this other life, because I've been a host and a radio guy, that, man, get the fuck out of here with that rap shit, yo. You know what the fuck you doing, right? Yeah. But the same passion that kid, let's go back to DMX. Yeah. Everybody saw the Rough Riders story. The what do they call it on BET when they did the Rough Riders docu-series? Right. And how X was living in a hole in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. He was living in a hole in Baltimore with a dog, writing rhymes. There's no stardom and celebrity is 8 trillion miles away. And this motherfucker is sitting here hitting this joint in a hole.
Like you said, a hole, H-O-L-E?
H-O-L-E.
I thought you said a home. You said he was living in a hole? I didn't see
remember
that.
Juan D said that he was staying in Baltimore in an abandoned row house.
Okay.
Yeah. You could just go into them. So there's not a door.
Not a squatter. Yeah.
Nah, like a literal hole. So the door was like here, but you know how the bricks come out the wall? It's a literal hole in the house that you use to get in the joint.
To get in. And here this cat is, and they find this cat who would later go on to become DMX in here writing rhymes with a dog. DMX never thought that he would shake up a motherfucker in France or somebody in Japan, that wasn't even on his, that was the furthest thing from his mind. Right. And so for me, I parallel that to people we read in scripture who came from nothing and shook up the world. People you read in mythology, right, who came from nothing and shook up the world. People they make great, who America calls great classic literature, who came from nothing and shook up the world. So to actually witness it,
right.
I interviewed DMX. I kicked it with DMX. I smoked blunts with DMX.
Right.
Hey, yeah, I got a funny story about DMX, right? very similar to your old Dirty Bastard story, right? I was in LA working. I was working for BET, and a whole bunch of people, as you know, come through the studio all the time. I never really want to go meet anybody because it's that DC shit. Like, I don't give a fuck, nigga.
Fuck that nigga.
They was like, yo, DMX in the green room. And I was like, all right, this is a nigga I want to meet, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, like several people have been like, Jay came through. They're like, you want to go see Jay? I was like, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Chilling.
That real niggas, it's a thread that run through all the real niggas today, you know.
Yeah,
Hey, man, we be like, man, fuck that nigga.
Like,
man.
I don't really care, but I was like, yo, DMX said, you trying to meet DMX? I was like, oh yeah, definitely. I want to definitely meet DMX. So I walk into the dressing room, right? DMX, Earl Simmons. This nigga is sitting in the chair getting a motherfucking manicure. So he got his little hand in the water, you know, like this.
Yo, what's up? Yo, what's good?
He's like, oh, what's up? How you doing? So he take the joint out, wipe it off. He's like, yeah, he pound me up. He's like, what's up? I would have never in my life imagined like this nigga be getting a manicure.
Hold on, what he do, Jay?
He's like, hey, what's up? Hold on. Hey, how you doing? It's like DMX. Who would have thought? You know what I'm saying? But so he was so cool, so regular, so down to earth. Like he stopped his manicure to dap me up. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, hold on, what's going on, man? All right.
Yeah.
And then, who would have imagined in their mind, like
Right.
walking with his hands in the little water.
Right.
Oh, hold on, what's up, man? All right.
Wild shit.
What you said about him, that humanity about him was real. Because I was telling him, the week that he died when we did the show, I was telling him like when I was in New York, we was working with the company that we were working with was distributed by Def Jam, and so they had got tickets to the fashion show. And I told the story already, but basically he pulled up, we were standing outside waiting to go in, and his car looked like the Batmobile he shot past, and then he backed up and went to park and went all up on the curve and stuff. We was like, that nigga can't drive. And DMX hopped out the car. It was him, but it was like 5 of us standing over there. One nigga, the dude who ran the company, he knew. He came and dapped him up, but then every nigga out there, he made it a point, what's up? But it was crazy because he was like, what's up? I'm DMX. Like, we didn't know who he was. It's like, I know who you, but yeah, but it was just cool that he made it a point to speak to everybody out there as opposed to this, this little stuff like that made his, humanity shine through.
And thus you can see the outpouring of love when he passed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It didn't shock me when I saw all them people, lining up behind that truck to carry his casket, because X was something else. Now I gotta fuck y'all head up. The last time I saw X was in Bowie at the Texas Roadhouse. Y'all know the Texas Roadhouse in Bowie?
Yeah.
I seen X at the Texas Roadhouse in Bowie about 1.5 years ago. On some no bullshit. He had just gotten out. He had just gotten out and was coming back to the world. His kids live here. And I saw him out at the Texas Roadhouse in Bowie. My man who was my man's daughter who babysits my kids, had the kids at Texas Roadhouse. She said, I think this rapper named DMX is up here. I said, what he look like? It looked like DMX. I said, all right. It looked like his name should be DMX. So yeah, you should come up here, Uncle Joe. And sure enough, so I walk in, he's like, oh, what's good? I said, everything good to see you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I revere rappers. I revere musicians so much. Anybody who could actually make it. Because what you're doing is you're taking words, phrases, notes, and actually making somebody feel an emotion.
Right. Man.
That's a hell of a power.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a power to be able to say some shit and make a grown motherfucker learn it.
Right.
Like you grown. You from DC. Fuck all these niggas. But you know that rhyme though.
Right. Word for word.
Word for word, ain't shit. He a bad motherfucking mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Definitely. So yeah, it's a bunch of things I want to ask. I'm gonna try to stick with Rap City for a second.
Yes, sir.
So you said you mentioned a couple of your favorite interviews. Do you have any that didn't go how you wanted, or you was like, man, I wish, or maybe somebody was a little out there when you interviewed them or anything like that?
There's two.
Okay.
All right. So the hardest Rap City interview was trying to interview Mobb Deep. And we were doing the interview in a limousine. And these niggas came to DC. I swear we got there at maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning to do the interview. And these niggas was hammered. You hear me? Anybody ever seen Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights?
Yeah.
I like to picture Jesus in playing Leonard Skinner, and I'm in the front row and I'm hammered. I mean, they was hammered, and they holding down Queens and Thug shit at the same time. So all that came out their mouth is keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, we just keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? Every question I asked, and at the time I'm trying to throw them hip hop rap interview words in. So at the genesis of this project, you know, what was your boom 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 when you was making Trife Life? Because I noticed that just keeping it real, you know what I'm saying? The whole shit's about keeping it real, you know what I'm saying? And then they stop. I'm like, so I gotta fill up and fill in and pull out, and so we finally got the interview. So that was one of the ones that was a little difficult.
Right.
The oh shit, my bad. Hold on.
You good?
Oh shit, okay. I ain't put it on airplane mode. My bad.
It's all good.
The second one was I had to interview George Clinton.
I know he was blasted.
Yeah.
Right.
Blasted.
No, he was off everything.
Yeah. He was gone. But it wasn't him. I was fucked up because I'm his biggest fan. And I couldn't, that interview sucked because I was a fan. You can't ask George Clinton regular questions, man. You if I see you ask George Clinton regular questions, I might smack the shit out of you. That's disrespectful.
Right.
That's straight up and down disrespectful. I hate to do this, but I need to jump. That call was from my sister, and we are in the middle of a family thing. And if she called twice, I think I need to take that call.
Definitely. Thank you so much for doing it. We wrapping up anyway. It's 8:30, man. So thank you so much for joining us, man. This has been great. Got to get you to come back and kick it with us again. But man, it's always fun when you come through. You're an amazing dude, and I always tell people, like, one of the reasons I do this show is just to get people on here that I admire and let them know how dope they are, and give people their flowers. You know what I'm saying?
You, man.
And you one of the ones, man. Definitely. So we'll be in touch, man. Hope all is well.
Me too.
So yeah.
Keep us in your
praise. Real quick, Joe. I cashed you in my movie. I ain't tell you yet, but yeah, you're gonna get a call soon, nigga.
Let's go.
All right.
I'm down. I'm down.
All right. So yeah, on behalf of myself, Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, Just Mike, Jason, Aisha, and Patrice Fruitfit Jones. This has been another episode. Oh, and our illustrious guest, look, I almost got our illustrious guest, Joe Clair. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been another episode of the Neighborish Livecast. We'll be back next week with more information, more entertainment, more interviews, and more fun. Y'all have a great week. Peace.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, man.
Bye.